Open mic. First couple of open micers. We'll do 2 to start with, and then we'll go to our first feature. So we will start with Jonathan, please.
Okay. Can you adjust the mic for me?
I don't know how. That's all right.
Yeah. He's the expert.
Thank you. Yeah. Buckle this again.
I was saying, you wouldn't move that forward just
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
You'll soon wish you could, but you know. No, okay.
We're looking forward to it.
You haven't heard it yet. I'm going to try and do the first one from memory. I've not done it for ages, and I'm sure we all know someone like this. This is the kind of person that turns up to evenings of culture, and then they get somebody like me on the stage, and it's called Marjorie. Well now, Dorothy, you know that poetry event that the Church magazine was advertising, you know, with the Poet Laureate of Glasgow performing at it? Well, I thought I'd go along, you know, I've been trying to take in a bit of culture recently. So I went into this, you know, this club up on Fountain Bridge, and I should say Fountain Bridge is the sort of poetry hub of Edinburgh. I went into this club up on Fountain Bridge, and here they're all sitting there, you know, all drinking and shouting and laughing, this rowdy crowd, and I thought, oh well. And anyway, I recognised one of them, you know, Paul, you know, old Mrs. Meakin from the church's eldest boy. So I went across and I said hello to him, and he was very pleasant, and he said hello back, and then he introduces me to the young man sitting next to him, Stephen or something, I think his name was, and he said, here, this is Stephen, he's my partner. Well, I mean, I just looked at him and I just thought, you know, anyway, I mean, thank goodness I just thought, thank goodness his mother's dead, you know. All that work that she and his father did at the Boy Scouts and the Boys Brigade over the years, and he ends up like that, you know. And I mean, what about that heart condition she was always going on about? I mean, if he'd told her he was like that, that would have been the end of it anyway. Anyway, so... by the way, I don't think this Stephen, or whatever his name is, I don't think that he's quite the full shilling, because just to make way for me, Paul and Stephen stood up, and I looked at Paul and I said to him, my goodness, son, have you not stopped growing yet? And Stephen said, oh no, darling, he gets 9 inches bigger last thing at night, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, just at that point, the Master of Ceremonies for the evening got it. Oh, listen, keep that to yourself about Paul and Stephen and what have you, you know. I don't want them thinking that I go about talking about them behind their back or anything. Anyway, just at that point, the Master of Ceremonies gets up and says that before the featured reader, you know, Glasgow's Poet Laureate, you know, that fellow Edwin Morgan, just before him there was going to be some open slots for local writers to read their work. And the first reader up was going to be a Samantha Robson. And anyway, well, as he said that, this wee madam gets up from the front row, and I'm not joking you, she looked like one of those sorts, you know. If that skirt she'd had on had been any shorter, it would have been a belt. And then she gets to the microphone and she starts reading, and I'm not joking you, she starts reading the most appalling piece all about her, well, I'd better be careful what I'm saying, you know, her first experience with a man. And I mean, first of all, every second word was an obscenity or a blasphemy or a profanity, and as if that wasn't bad enough, that the way she read it, she sounded like she was enjoying it. Anyway, I thought, I'm not staying if it's all going to be like this. So I made my way out, and just as I'm at the door, some smart aleck in the audience sees me and he shouts out, "Way, now we know who the poem's about, don't we, darling?" I'm not joking you, Dorothy. My face went crimson. And I thought, well, it can't get any worse. But then the next reader gets up, and I forget his name, but he read a poem about being out in Edinburgh and, you know, at midnight on a Friday night. I mean, who the hell's out at midnight on a Friday? You know, they should be at that age, they should be in their beds. And that's what parenting is coming to in this day and age. And anyway, it turns out he was attacked, and he referred to his attackers. He referred to them as bastards. And I mean, using that kind of language, I thought, that's it. At that point, I just got up and I walked out. Next week I'm going to try the origami class the Church magazine's been advertising. Thank you. A wee test for you just before I do the next one. Put your hands up if you've ever met Marjorie. Or know a Marjorie. Yeah. Now here's the real test of honesty. Hands up if you've been Marjorie. And I suppose on the inside of honesty. Anyway, this next one is when I was doing a Shakespeare course as part of the Open University. And this is just at the point. Oh yeah, here it is. I'd always thought Shakespeare as being very highbrow and very sort of off limits to people, but the tutor I got was great because he pitched it in such a way that, you know, Shakespeare was a sort of movie producer of his day, and they would organise plays as kind of vehicles for the various actors and what have you. And this was the impression I was left with. There's two characters, for those of you who don't know the play Hamlet, there's two characters called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And somebody wrote a play about them and then made a film about it, and I just watched it, and it's one of these films you watch and you think, how the hell did they get money for this? How did it get pitched? And forgive me for bringing the tone down a bit, but this is how I would have pitched it. Two pricks in a play. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Why should they matter? Two minor characters, walk-ons at best, hindering Hamlet, the blessed Danish prince, turned into their hands into mere ham at first with their threats and their mischief, and then into Danish bacon by two court order boys who roam around someone else's drama, someone else's playground, always mocking their mistakes, knocking everything out of sequence and out of heart, as they struggle instead to get their message across, stumbling and rambling onwards unto Europe, onwards unto Elsinore for the letter that Hamlet must receive. They only want to play games of intellect and power with us and with each other. Shakespeare's boring, verbal sparring's much better. They share jokes and they share with us knowledge. Neither knows who the other is. Hamlet's not important, just a subject for discussion. They feed off each other. Prince Hamlet's got a letter to receive. To be or not to be, to give or not to give, to think or not to think. All these questions and more pour forth over the miles, never answered, and who cares? What we really want to know is who will win the next round of verbal squash. Balls of words fly forth, adjectives and aphorisms over the net of sanity, and all the while what is a mere prince got to compare with two tossers in tights, minor noblemen, major tracts? What they do is what we watch, grand dreams of wars won and lost, of loves never seen. We, the audience, watch as though for the first time the actors who do the same plays every night forevermore until they die on stage. History's being made all around and by them. Whole continents rising and on they wander. Miracles and banalities happen all around. An audience with hearts keen for romance and muscles keen for adventure. And a letter to deliver for themselves, for Hamlet, and most importantly, for us all. Thank you.